Good evening, everyone. Late Night Mega here, and tonight we're going to open some packs of Kaladesh and Amonkhet Remastered. Packs we just got from the draft series. If you haven't checked out the draft series on those, check it out. There lots of fun things happened, especially in Amonkhet. So what am I hoping to open in this? Oh, that's good. Mythic Rare right off the bat. Great way to start a pack opening. So these draft formats, I enjoyed them overall. I do feel like my first one. Yeah, I never drafted that card. Gonti. Oh, I like Gonti. One of my favorite cards that came out of the Kaladesh set. Kaladesh kind of known for its energy. Oh, there's a card I wanted to see. Swooper, no swooping.
You have far too many shortcomings to be considered a threat.
Dovin Mon. I've already got 2 mythics out of this. Concealed Courtyard. Yeah, I'd like to collect some of the lands. I like the Torrential Gear Hulk for mythics, but I don't know that we have enough rares for that. We had energy. This thing was really good to have in draft. Metallurgic Summonings. Oh, this was another one of my favorite cards out of Kaladesh. I used this card in Standard when it came out. Just like you play it, and then you just kind of leave it alone, and then every instant I'm casting is making me, a 2/2, a 4/4. Really, really cool card. Alright, what else do we got here? Vengeful Rebel, Master Trinketeer, sure. This card wrecked us a few times in the draft games. Oath of Ajani. Alright. Attune with Aether, of course, the energy synergies. Harness Lightning. That was such a good card in Standard. I ran that with, I ran like a blue-red, like, energy control deck with, well, not that Gear Hulk, the blue one. And the Metallurgic Summonings, and I had, like, Dynavolt Towers. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed playing that deck. Alright, some nice wild cards there. Aether Sphere Harvest. Yeah, I don't mind collecting more of those. That was probably one of the top 3 vehicles that came out of the set. One of them was of course banned. I think it got banned in multiple formats. The Smuggler's Copter is what I'm referring to. Kembal. That's a really annoying rare to see your opponent play, especially if you're playing like a control deck. Black green dual land, very nice. The fast lands is what those were called. Metallic Mimic. Oh, that's a good card to get some of. I'm sure that's getting used in some constructed formats somewhere on Arena. Just very nice, like, tribal card. Probably any constructed formats that use for any tribal deck, I would imagine. Rishkar's Expertise. That card wrecked us in draft on a couple of occasions. Opponent just draws so many cards. Mahani's Expertise. That card disappointed me in draft on more than a couple of occasions. Inspiring Vantage. Nice. The fast lands. So they come into play untapped, basically only on the first couple of turns, as opposed to like the cycle of lands we got in Innistrad Midnight Hunt and Crimson Vow that come into play untapped if you have 2 or more other lands. So those I like the ones from Crimson Vow and Midnight Hunt a bit more.
Please, I thought this would be a challenge.
Is that my 4th Dovin Bond? It's either my 3rd or 4th. This is not the mythic I really want to be seeing. Wildest Dreams. Alright. Yeah, there was tons of, like, just nice red removal in this set. This was kind of like a mishmash of not just cards from Kaladesh, but also cards from Aether Revolt. That card was from Kaladesh. I don't think I have any Aether Revolt cards on the screen right now. But there's like Fatal Push is one. I'd like more Fatal Pushes if we could open those. Baral, okay. Hungry Flame. Yeah, Improvise. That was a mechanic from Aether Revolt. That card can be really dangerous if you have a lot of energy. The self-assemblers that you can go and you play one, you go search for another. Those are always pretty good. Spire Bluff Canal. Okay. I don't mind taking the lands. Whirler Maker. This card, like, I really didn't think much of this card ever coming into the draft series, and something like my 2nd or 3rd draft or something, I gained a lot of respect for that card. Was it even on the 1st draft, maybe? I don't know. First Arborback Stomper? I don't think we ever saw those in the draft. I remember seeing my opponent play it once. I was sad. Nice. I wonder if this is where the... because this is a trend I've seen from, like, almost every single standard set that's released in, like, the modern times. I'm going to say, at least for Kaldheim forward, I'd have to go check back on some of the other ones, but maybe there's some there too, is this idea of a 4-mana black card that removes or destroys a creature. Sometimes it's exile, sometimes it gives a -13/-13 in exiles, sometimes it's an instant, sometimes it's a sorcery, sometimes it's destroy and gives you a treasure, like with Grim Bounty. Sometimes it might not be a 4-mana one, it might be like 5 mana, like the one in Amonkhet, or might be 3 mana and be called Murder, like in Streets of New Capenna. I feel like that sort of the 4-mana black kill a creature thing, we're getting all the lands, that's awesome, is just kind of like a rehashed idea for a lot of sets.
Which cannot protect itself.
This mythic is unbeatable in the drafts. Whether our opponent had it or whether we had it, no game was lost by the player who had Nissa. Very frustrating to try and play against, but having it on our side of the field was nice. Inventor's Fair. Yeah, I don't mind having more of that. I did draft one of those ones. That takes me back to the draft where we had Inventor's Fair. Opponent was like killing one of my servos or whatever, and I could have fetched my red Gearhulk. We had a red Gearhulk in that, and I would have won the game if I had done that. But I'm like, oh, I can just do that on unstep. No, I can't, because they're killing my servo, and I no longer have 3 artifacts to trigger the thing. To be able to use the tutor and artifact thing. My first Minister of Inquiries, alright. Scrap Heap Scrounger. That card saw, like, some amount of standard play when it was standard legal. Yeah, we didn't see any Smuggler's Copters, did we? Alright, Amonkhet. The Egyptian-themed set. We had, ooh, nice. I don't mind getting the cycling dual lands. What else am I looking for out of this? I really don't know. We're just gonna open. Sure, Pact of Negation. This card was not actually in Amonkhet or Hour of Devastation. I think it was in the sense where when the paper set released, they had these. They were invocations, part of like the Masterpiece or Expedition series. The thing that Wizard said they were going to do in every single set, and then they like stopped doing it after this set because of the negative backlash they got on some of these cards. They were like basically super hyper ultra rare. They weren't standard legal unless they were otherwise printed in the set. And by super ultra hyper rare, I mean you get like one of them per like every 4 boxes or something like that. And or maybe it was like 1.5 for every 4 boxes. I don't know, was the average. But yeah, some of these cards were like thrown into this. It wasn't in Amonkhet or Hour of Devastation. So this set was really kind of weird to draft at times. And then there were other like rares and mythics that just weren't even like part of the Invocation Masterpiece series, but they were in this Amonkhet Remastered set. One was like a Hornet Queen. That was not printed in Amonkhet. Ooh, Hazaret. That was a very prominent rare for the red aggro deck. Oh, I hated the red. I hated playing against the red aggro deck at this time because they even got Ramanap Ruins banned because the red aggro deck was kind of just that oppressive. And it still kind of was afterwards. Did it also get Sunscorched Desert banned? I don't remember if that one... I don't think that one got banned. No, I don't think it did. Oh, Irrigated Farmland. Very nice. But it was just... Because there were like multiple cards. There was the red Kenra card, and then there was the uncommon, the On-Crop Crasher, that make it so your creature couldn't block for a turn. Like, you'd play a creature trying to block some of their stuff, and then it's like, oh no, you can't block it this turn, and oh, just so annoying to play against. I hated playing against it. Another Scorpion God. We had that in one of our drafts. The final draft of the Amonkhet series. If you have not checked that out, go check that out. Draft number 12. We have fun. We don't get the best win record, but we have a fun deck. Some of the issues with that I have with the Amonkhet draft format with the games, especially, is that the format feels... I feel like this was kind of a turning point into what is now like the modern era or today's era of standard sets. Where, ooh, nice. Where, like, this set, when you're playing it, it can be very like 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop removal for your blocker, and you're dead. If you miss a 2-drop, you might just be dead. That's how a number of games sell. It didn't happen all the time, but it happened a good portion of the time where this format just felt very, very like hyper aggressive, like some of the more modern age limited sets. And I'm kind of opposed to some of that. As Fortal, I drafted one of those because I didn't want to open a ton of them, but here we are. We didn't draft 4 of them. We didn't. I don't think we saw 4 of them. I think we saw like 2 or 3. Drake Haven. Oh, when this card was in Standard, I eventually did build a control deck because I wanted to get away from Approach of the Second Sun. I hated playing that card, but I also felt like I had to play that card in the Standard format because anything my opponent top decks can just be like a game-winning threat, essentially, or just gives your opponent extra value in that. And control decks couldn't really close out the game by like playing a traditional sort of creature bomb, creature finisher thing because everything in value just created so much advantage that when you took a turn off to play that, your opponent would start regaining advantage, regaining cards. There was tons of stuff in standard that just gave your opponent extra value, whether it came from tokens or card draw or what have you. Or just insanely difficult threats to stop, or hasty things and whatnot. Well, there was a cycling control deck in Standard using Drake Haven and some of the other cycling stuff. I hated the whole thing about Approach, but Approach was like the actual win con for a control deck. I hated the card, although people have been saying for many years that, you can't play a 7-mana sorcery, even in Standard, unless it wins you the game. Well, Approach to the Second Sun, the second time you cast the card, you literally won the game. And people hated that card. I hated the card. I hated when I had to play it. Another thing that could happen with Approach to the Second Sun is, like, you cast your first Approach, and next turn, you cast another one that you had in your hand because you ran multiples, and you would win off of that one. It didn't matter which copy of Approach to the Second Sun you cast the second time, or anything beyond the first. So, like, if the second one gets countered, even if the first one gets countered, you cast a second one, you win the game. Just, game's over on the spot. I kind of have to chuckle a little bit, though, at some of the critiques from the Magic community at times, saying, oh, you can't play a 7-mana sorcery unless it wins you the game. And then when you have a 7-mana sorcery that wins you the game, like Approach, this is, 8th Earthshaker Kenra, I hated this card. Hated playing against it. That and the On-Crop Crasher. Because it kind of made blocking almost impossible to do against the red decks. But another more recent example, or maybe a couple more recent examples from modern-ish age, Nexus of Fate. That was a 7-mana. It wasn't a sorcery, but it was an instant. Essentially won you the game when you played it. Or maybe even a more prominent one than that was what was it? Alran's Epiphany. Another nice mythic wild card. Alran's Epiphany. The card that gives you an extra turn and gives you 2 1/1 flyers. Yeah, just chaining those together can just win you games. Hour of Revelation. I like that card. The Destroy Everything card there. And then people complained that card was too strong and it got banned. I think it got banned because in Standard they started making cards that could like copy the next instant or sorcery you cast. And then people started using that with Alran's Epiphany, and that was dumb. I'll just put it that way. Ooh, God Pharaoh's Gift. This was a prominent card in Standard as well. This is what I mean by Standard at this era having these sort of things. There's the uncommon that also goes and fetches you this card, so you don't necessarily have to pay 7 mana to cast it. But the card that fetches is like an artifact that costs 3, and then it costs like 2 in sacrifice to go and fetch it. Really, really annoying, because then every card that a control deck or control player like myself has answered, now they're coming back as 4/4s with haste, and they're zombies. So yeah, this gets on the table. Control decks basically just lose because every turn you're getting another 4/4 creature from your graveyard, and you're drawing a card, and like I said, just non-stop value off of some of that stuff. That's why I had to resort to playing Approach the Second Suns or Drake Haven, playing the cycling deck. That deck also worked well as a control deck. in this format, in this standard era when this was, oh yeah, another cycling land. I'm happy about that. River Hoopy. Probably not how you pronounce that, but I don't care. Saying Hoopy is more fun. Oh, Canyon Slough, another nice. We're getting the dual lands, that's for sure. Which I don't mind at all. Solemnity. Alright, sure. Gideon's Intervention. Alright. What else are we looking for in this? I don't know. Pride Sovereign, that's cool. There was a cat theme. So yeah, I think Amonkhet, Kaladesh and Amonkhet was kind of like an era that really started changing Standard from like what it was pre-Kaladesh to what we have now for Standard. Perilous. This is what I'm talking about. This card was not in Amonkhet or Hour of Devastation, but yet it showed up in this Magic Arena's iteration of Amonkhet Remastered. Very odd. This was actually from, I want to say M15. I could be wrong on that, but I think it came from M15. Did not have that art whatsoever. So it seems like some of these cards that got shoehorned into this set got new art. Rest in Peace was another one that we noticed during the drafts. Claim to Fame. Hour of Devastation. I like that card too. Nice little, just 5 mana, 5 damage to everything, and kills indestructible creatures.
I protect the virtue of this world.
Ending with a Nissa. Actually, why don't we take a moment? This is like the saddest thing ever. I'm 1 pack away from getting another Mythic Wild. I mean, I'll get more packs eventually, I'm sure, but I have a lot of rare wild cards. Kind of thought I might have had more mythics, but okay. I'm not going to complain. I can build like whatever I want now. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at Kaladesh Remastered. I just want to look at the rares and mythics that we have and have not collected. Yeah, we're kind of missing a lot here. Fumigate. I wanted some Fumigates. Or at least one. I guess if I ever need to craft it, and craft it. Torrential Gearhulk. Yeah, fun story about this card. So when this card was previewed and it was being pre-ordered, it was getting pre-ordered for like $5 for Mythic. And I took a look at this. ETBs, 6 mana, Flash. Flash, very important. ETBs, you can cast an instant from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. And then it gets exiled. And I took one look at this and I'm like, this is not a $5 card. This is easily like a $20 to $30, $40 card. And sure enough, I pre-ordered a couple of these for myself because I knew I was going to want this. And sure enough, after the set was released and people started using the card and they discovered what I had known, of course they poo-pooed me before that. They're like, no, it's not that good. It's not going to be that good. It's no Snapcaster Mage, and people aren't really going to use this, and it's just an illusion. And no, it's not a $20 to $40 mythic. And then a week or two after Kaladesh released, this card shot up to like $40 mythic, $35, $40 mythic or something, 25 at least. I think it kind of like settled back down to around like 20 to 25 sometime after that. But I was like, yeah, that was not a $5 mythic. Of course, a lot of people just kind of follow whatever the current trend is, the current news about a certain card is. and can't really look forward at things like that. And they're like, well, yeah, but back then, back when it was pre-ordered, we didn't know it was good. Yeah, no, you didn't know it was good. I saw the thing and I'm like, that's undervalued. Uh, you can't predict, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect at evaluating cards in constructed formats or anything like that, or price fluctuations, but this was one of my big hits. Really glad I pre-ordered those at $5 when I did. Um, Another one that did not get too insane. Actually, it was kind of later in stat, like much later. This is like a 250 mythic for the longest time, and then like near the end of, like just before it was going to rotate out or something, like just a few months before it was going to rotate out, this card shot up to like $12, like a 10 to $12 mythic. And I'd been playing it like basically since its inception in standard, and people just like finally caught on to that it was good. Yeah. Gonti was always really good, but Gonti was never like super expensive. I like that card. That's one of my favorites. What were my other favorite cards? The Gearhulks. I like the Noxious Gearhulk. Just ETBs kills the thing. Chandra. Hated playing against this card. This was one of the prominent standard cards. Also in the mono red aggro deck at the time. The Hazaret aggro is what it was called. Hated dealing with that. Hated dealing with that entire deck, to be honest. Um, Virtuous Gearhulk, that also saw a lot of standard play, more so after uh, some of the cards from Teamer Energy got banned and the deck kind of slowed down a bit and went more like in the Sultai direction. You'd see a couple of Virtuous Gearhulks being played in that. Speaking of, there's another Glint Sleeve Siphoner. That card at first saw like no standard play, or almost no standard play, and then um, after Attune with Aether and Rogue Refiner got banned, then the Teamer Energy mid-rangey deck shifted over to being Sultai Energy mid-range with Glint Sleeve Siphoners, and not really using as much energy dependency as it used to, but still enough to activate that and get some extra card draws out of it. Tezzeret, the Underwhelming. I got a decent amount of the dual lands here. Very nice. Hard to Kieran, this card was kind of insane. Is only one metallic mimic, okay. Is where's the copter? Smugglers. Oh, it must be on the next page. Yeah, Heart of Kieran, good mythic for the. There was a vehicle deck. That was also kind of annoying to deal with because board wipes did not kill vehicles. Most of them didn't, anyways. So yeah, you'd board wipe, and then your opponent can still attack you on the following turn with like Heart of Kieran. That's why I really did like Fumigate, 5 mana board wipe, but you gained some life back on that. Aetherworks Marvel, that got banned in Standard. A Sculpting Steel, that was not in Standard in Kaladesh. That was one of the that is the masterpiece art too, by the way. At least I'm pretty sure that is. The border is what gives it away for me. Why is this masterpiece here and not others? Okay, this set is weird too. Not as weird as not as weird as the Amonkhet. Sky Sovereign. Very cool mythic. Saw like a little bit of fringe standard play. Inventor's Fair. Okay. Spire of Industry. Yeah, that was used in it was Mardu vehicles. And they were using the Spire of Industry because You know, they needed the color fixing, and that's a great color fixer. They have the vehicles to turn on the life paying thing for that, so they get their colors. Yeah, that was an annoying deck to deal with as well. All right, let's pop over and check on this Amonkhet Remastered. Gideon of the Trials. Always a nice card. Anointed Procession is nice. That was actually in the set. Wrath of God was not. Rest in Peace was not. That's new art for Rest in Peace. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's a paper card Rest in Peace with that art. Because that Rest in Peace originally came in the Return to Ravnica set. It was Return to Ravnica or in that Return to Ravnica block. Yeah, Pact of Negation. There's Approach to the Second Sun. You guys can just read that and see what that does. Regal Caracal, that I feel like any creature that comes out and makes two other creatures kind of gets compared to Grave Titan, or we call it like the Grave Titan effect. Because Grave Titan, I think, was like the first one to start doing that, or was at least the most prominent one. So this kind of does the Grave Titan impression by creating a couple cats when it enters, but not when it attacks. Grave Titan also makes zombies when it attacks, which is, oh, it can get out of hand a bit. Champion of Wits, that was a prominent card in Standard at the time. Pull from Tomorrow was decent. And more so, I use this more so in Commander. Torment of Hailfire, that was in the set. That's a much more prominent Commander card. Wait a minute, Demonic Pact. Okay, this was not, no. Demonic Pact was Magic Origins. It was not Amonkhet. It was not Hour of Devastation. This set is so weird. What else is in this set that shouldn't be? Anger of the Gods. Yep. That was from original Theros block. I don't remember which set in the Theros block, but it was original Theros block. And this Chandra Pyromaster was not in this. I did look that up because we did encounter that. Shatterstorm was not. Ronus. Never got my double Glorybringer Ronus deck that I was reminiscing about from a during the draft series. I was reminiscing about the a sealed league I had at my local game store, and you'd get 3 packs to start with, and then you could like add an extra pack each week. Well, 2 of my first 3 packs had Glorybringer and Ronus, and then the pack I added the week after that, I got a second Glorybringer. I just had like a nigh unbeatable green-red deck. I think I lost like all of 2 games that whole sealed league. Yeah, Hornet Queen. This card wrecked me, and it was not even in this set. It's not supposed to be in this set. I mean, at least it's a mythic. It's not even a mythic in Paper Magic. Why is it a mythic here, and why is it in this set? I guess it's a mythic because it's just a game-winning bomb, and this format really can't handle it outside of like a board wipe, but still. This set is weird. Okay. Sphinx's Revelation, that was not in this set. Sphinx's Revelation was Return to Ravnica. I like this card, though. But yeah, very odd. Did get it irrigated. Scarab God. Yeah, the gods were all a pain in the butt to deal with. Whether it's the ones from Amonkhet or the ones from, I guess Bantu, probably. Bantu and Kefnet kind of saw the least amount of play. Okatra here didn't see a whole lot of play either in Standard, but Eronus was always annoying. But Hazaret was just the worst to deal with. First of all, this disadvantage of not being able to attack or block unless you have one or fewer cards in hand, that's not even a disadvantage. And it's because mono red just dumps their hand so quickly anyways that this just gets played and gets to attack right away. And it's not even an issue to be able to have this or keep it activated once you do that, because you can just discard a card with Hazoret's own effect, dealing more damage. Scorpion God, that didn't see standard play. The one that did was Scarab God, because that just lets you eternalize whatever cards you want in any graveyard. So yeah, that was a silly card. Fun fact, I never owned any of them. It was one of the hyper expensive mythics that I just I never got in a pack. Never. Yeah, Lord of Exile. This was not in the set. It's in this set, but it's not in Amonkhet or Hour of Devastation. The 2 Samuts were. That's fine. The lands were fine. This card. This also went in the cycling thing. So the cycling control deck I was running, I'd have 2 of these. So you play this, and then every card you cycled, you can now cast from your graveyard. And that's where you get the super hyper value engine going with that. All right, Nico Bolas. All right. Well, neat. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this like trip down memory lane here. Had a little bit of an extension on top of opening the packs, but I had a good time. I hope you did too. And for now, I'll take my leave.